I got this wood dauber story. I'm not sure if it'll tick some people off, or they'll just blow it off. It's about the mountains up in North Carolina. Now, I've never lived in any mountains except those in North Carolina, so I know this to be a fact. Well, it used to be a fact. I don't know if it still is or not. But the first time I went up there, first time I'd ever been in the mountains. And I had never been up there. I had never met this girl, my wife. I had corresponded with her for a couple of years, but I never actually met her in person. And when I went up there, you know, they were surprised that I came and all that stuff, and she thought I was a cat's meow, and they were nice, you know, and I liked them. The house, it was no hillbilly house. Didn't have no bathroom. They had running water, but that was in the kitchen. And that was gravity bed water. It was coming from a spring way up in the holler. And actually that spring made a little creek running down through there, not a very big one. But they had the pipes run way up there at the head of the branch, you know, in the spring, and they had a reservoir sitting there, and it was filling up water, and the water was coming out of that and going down to the house, which was way downhill. So it's gravity fed, you know. And once the water was stopped up, and I'm like, what should be stopping it? You know, they said it's probably got a spring lizard in it. I'm like, what? A spring lizard? You mean a lizard? Yeah, they get in there occasionally. Okay, I wasn't too happy about that, but I didn't let it bother me. The water was good, but their bathroom, which was a outside Johnny house or toilet or whatever you want to call it, and up there, those mountain hoogers, they didn't dig a hole and set a Johnny house over it for you to poop down in that hole. They took that Johnny hat, they laid 2 rails across the creek and set the Johnny house down on it. So instead of digging a hole, they set that Johnny house down on that thing, and they was actually pooping in the water. It never stopped up. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you, if you go up to the mountains and you're impressed by that crystal clear water and everything, just be advised, before you drink any of it, you make sure what's upstream. Because they still might be some of them hoogers up there using them Johnny houses like that. I know they passed a law a while back where they couldn't do that no more. Heck, the school, even the high school and elementary school, all their raw sewage was running straight into the river, right straight into the Nanahala River. And there was no, I don't know if there was a law against it, but I know that everybody done it. So be sure the water you drink up there, it might not be so crystal pure after all. That's fact, people. I was shocked by that. I was really surprised, but they stopped it. Everybody that was doing it supposedly had to get a septic tank and all that stuff. Let me tell you something, you start digging septic tanks up there in that rock stuff, you got a job. But you don't know what some of them hooters is doing upstream. There ain't no telling. But anyway, Great Smoky Mountains, I love them. The first time I ever went up to the mountains to see my future wife, I come on a bus. I guess that was a Trailways. And I'm thinking, you know, I'm a city boy. I'm thinking taxis and city buses and stuff like that. Well, the bus gets up there and he stops. I knew I was supposed to get off at a place called Topton, North Carolina. And I thought it would be a town. It was a community, and it consisted of a restaurant, a grocery store that doubled as a post office, and that was about it. There's a few houses around, and I'm like, what in the hell have I got myself into? There's no such thing as a city bus. There's no taxis. So I'm talking to the guy in the grocery store, and what was his name? Holloway. And I told him who I was up there to see, and since he was the post office guy there too and everything, he knew who I was talking about. He knew where they lived. And Topton, the reason they call it Topton, because it's the top of a mountain. And he said, well, you got to go all the way back down the mountain, which was maybe 5 miles down. And then he was explaining to me how I was to get there. Of course, he's knowing I'm going to have to walk. But he said you have to go all the way back down the mountain and you'll get to the powerhouse, he called it. And I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? It's the electric company that makes the electricity there. It's called Nantahala Power and Light. And it was run totally off of, it was a hydroelectric, run off of water coming off the top of a mountain from across another mountain from a lake that was called Nantahala Lake. It's a man-made lake. And he said you got to turn right there at the powerhouse and follow that road down around the river till you come to the schoolhouse road, and then you turn on the schoolhouse, left on the schoolhouse road, and then you follow that till you come to the split in the road, and you take the hard right and going around there to Briartown. Now he's telling me all this, and I wasn't really comprehending the distance he was talking about. But it turns out it was about 20 miles. And I walked down the mountain, got to the firehouse, turned on the river road there, and I was walking down that road about a mile, and somebody stopped. fellow by the name of Cletus Gasaway and his wife, and I think the daughter and the son were with him. And I was asking him more directions, and he said, "Oh, I believe Norma Jean been talking about you." So it seemed like everybody knew everybody up there. And he said, "We'll take you up there." So thank God they did, because I don't know if I'd ever found that place. But we got up there and he drove up there, and of course, my wife, she wasn't expecting me. None of them was expecting me. And boy, there for a while, she wouldn't even come out of the house. And I could hear a lot of talking and stuff going on in there, and I could hear the mama, and I could hear her older sister and her younger sister, and she had a younger brother there, and you know, but finally she come on out and we met face to face for the first time. I can't remember a whole lot about it. I remember her taking me back down the driveway, and the driveway now, it's like a quarter-mile long, but it's uphill and it's rocky, and it drives across two little creeks coming up. I mean, this is back in the holler. That area was called Briartown. And she took me down to something she called the Big Spring, and decided I needed a drink of water, and she hollered back up the house, "Bring a glass down." I could have done it with my hand, but she wanted me to drink out of a glass. She was treating me like I was somebody. And, you know, we just, couple hours we was hanging loose, you know, and we got back up to the back of the house, and right there where the car parks, or where her sister parks, because they only had the one car, and got my first kiss. And that night, she gave up her bedroom for me, and she went in there and slept with her older sister. And we talked back and forth a little bit, and her sister Chloe, she's giggling and all that stuff. It was right fun, you know. I was having a blast, because they acted like I was somebody, and really I wasn't nobody. But they act like I was a cat's meow. Matter of fact, her youngest sister, when me and my wife decided we was going to get married, her youngest sister, and she don't even like to be reminded of this, but her younger sister said, "I want to be able to marry somebody just like you." She did. That's what she said. And of course, she's changed her mind completely. That's my Annie Belle, though. Annie's almost like I don't know if she's like a daughter to me or like a sister. I don't know. But we've been close over the years. We've had some spats. She almost killed me with a Coke bottle one time. Threw it at me. That thing went by my head. It was like a car coming down the highway. Just whoosh. But it hit me to kill me. But that's my wood dauber story about how I finally met my wife. 2 months later, we was married. I guess it was 2 months. I can't remember. I think I went back to Florida, and then I come back. I can't remember. But that's my wood dauber story. And don't forget about that pooping in the creek. That is bona fide true story. I'm gonna see if I can drag up some pictures here. So I know I ain't gonna find one of the Johnny house. It's long gone. It's long gone. They got a septic tank up there now. Of course, nobody living there now. My mother-in-law passed away, and my father-in-law passed away, and 2 or 3 other people passed away, and it's just kind of sitting there. I'd love to own it myself, but I couldn't live back up there again. I couldn't handle the winters. I mean, it's cold. They was heating with wood up there. You'd have to go out and split wood every year and lay in a huge amount of wood to burn. But that place is home to me. I lived up there about 20 years, I reckon. Yeah, that place is home to me.
Check out their ranch.
You know, something don't make sense to me. You see all these advertisements from some of these different companies wanting to sell you gold so that you can keep your assets safe and everything, and not have to rely on that money, you know, like cash or whatever, if everything just took a dive. But I got to thinking, they're telling you to buy the gold because that's the only way to go, but they're wanting to sell you that gold for that money that they're telling you ain't gonna be worth nothing. Does that make sense? Am I missing something here? I mean, if all that stuff's gonna take a dive, then you're gonna have the gold and they ain't. Oh, crazy. I don't really have to think. We can't. Every time somebody says something, you need to look at it from both sides. I guess if I was very wealthy, I'd probably have some gold, but it wouldn't be all gold. I'd have other assets. You don't know what's going to be to take a dump. Maybe the price of gold will take a dump. But hell, I can remember when gold was $32 an ounce. It sure ain't that now. I don't know what it is an ounce now, but it's a long way from $32 an ounce. Anyway, just another thought that got into wood dauber's head.